Shalom everybody, news from around the world, and I promise you, literally cannot keep up at this stage of the game. If I don't talk about news from around the world for 24 hours, I'm already behind and it's gone. There's stuff I was going to talk about that I've thrown away because it's old news, because it's longer than 48 hours and it's really not relevant to the newest things that are happening right now. So let's dive into a couple of important ones before I get overwhelmed with even more news cutting in. Number one, the US adds to the South China Sea pressure with a dual carrier strike exercise. The USS Carl Vinson and USS Essex. Right? The PLA aircraft carriers from China, Shandong and Liaoning, are operating in the region as well. So we have a two-carrier showdown building pressure and tension in the South China Sea. North Korea has launched more than 3 missiles and shows no sign of stopping. They've actually launched another one as of today, this time off a train car, and they're using Russian guidance systems, which the Russians are giving them and aiding them in. So if I'm looking at this the way I'm looking at it from a military perspective, Putin's being very clever. He's supporting and arming Iran, and he's supporting and arming North Korea. So both those kegs start firing off, so that America and the allies have got their hands full trying to focus where they're supposed to focus. And Putin's very focused on just one thing. Due to the heated tone between Russia and NATO, Swedish armed forces are now increasing visible operations. That's how big the fear is now starting to grow in Europe and in NATO. Now, that's great that they're increasing their armed forces operations visibly, but experts have agreed that if Russia had to hit them as well, they'd last 2 to 3 hours. Putin quoted on Russian state TV as saying the following: "If a fight is inevitable, you must strike first." People, I might be wrong, I'm human, but from where I'm sitting, this man is going to strike first, and it's going to be really, really soon. I'd be really surprised if nothing doesn't go down in the next 2 weeks. And Putin is planning a strike first. The problem is the strike first going to happen in the Ukraine or in America? Just putting it out there. Russian submarine seen off the coast of the USA, same class of submarine that launches hypersonic missiles. Why would it be there? First strike? Code Red ICS-1 assessment travel advisory on Ukraine. Crisis or major conflict, extremely likely. Major fighting could erupt at any time, obviously. So if you're planning a holiday to Ukraine, maybe change it to Mauritius. Russian landing craft seen leaving the Baltic Sea, loaded up with equipment. Russian army calling all their reservists into service. This is what you do when you're preparing for war. Russian and Belarusian equipment and troops massing in Belarus. Russia recalls her ambassadors, families and staff out of Ukraine. Now, you pull your ambassadors out of a country when you're about to go to war, the same way that God is getting ready any minute now to pull his ambassadors, the church, out of this planet because he's going to go to war with this planet. Judgment's going to rain down. He pulls his people out to keep them safe. The same thing is happening now here on a worldly scale. More than 600 aircraft at Ukrainian borders already from Russia. Russia has positioned itself on 7 fronts to attack Ukraine. Number 1, the Union State of Russia and Belarus. Number 2, the Russian Federation. Number 3, Donbas occupied lands. Number 4, the Sea of Azov. Number 5, Russian occupied Crimea. Number 6, the Black Sea. And number 7, Russian occupied Moldova. I don't see how this is a fair fight if this boils off shortly. 7 fronts. There will be no elections in the United States in 2024 because there will be no America itself. Vladimir Zhirinovsky. in Russia. Quite a statement, openly, to the world. There will be no America in 2024. Makes you think. LDPR leader has urged Russians to buy rubles because there will be no one to exchange dollars or euros because America won't exist soon. That's a very in-your-face threat, especially with your submarines sitting off the coast of America. Then tsunami alert was issued in the South Pacific after underwater volcano erupted, the Tonga one, sending shockwaves around the world. Waves hit the island of Tonga and flooded the coastal areas. The king had to be evacuated as palace grounds were flooded, and a second eruption was larger than the first. Like a bell being rung is the statement they make, and it was visible from space. I'm going to add a video in after this that you can have a look at. It's quite impressive. And that shockwave traveled right around the planet, like someone was ringing a bell to get everybody's attention. There's a landslide there as well that took place, the same kind of landslide we're expecting out of La Palma. And no, I haven't given up on watching on La Palma, and not that I'm hoping it'll go. I'm expecting that wasn't all for nothing and it was priming itself. We're heading into an end time period of judgment, earthquakes, and all sorts of things happening in the natural. So keep an eye on that, watch the video with regards to this eruption, and that'll give you an idea of things that are to come. 101 earthquakes in the last 24 hours, 910 earthquakes in the last 7 days, 4,070 earthquakes in the last 30 days, and 57,497 earthquakes in the last 360 days. If you still think we're not living in end times and in a time of judgment, upheaval, birth pains, and expectation of the return of Messiah for his bride, and impending destruction and judgment on this evil world, then you need to wake up. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid and start reading the Bible. Keep looking up. God bless. Shalom.